Please put your hands together for Mr. Francis J. Kong.
Good morning. I don't like that reaction. I'm standing right in front of the most dynamic force in the world, which is the youth power, and then I expect a lot more energy in that reaction. So we're going to do that one more time. Good morning. Look at the person beside you and say, good morning. Now, I realize that, hey, guys, will you agree with my observation if I say the day may be tiring? Last night, maybe some of you slept late, and this morning, maybe you feel kind of tired, but a smile can brighten up the face. Am I right? Raise up your right hand, everybody. We're going to be doing this all the time. Quick. Tap the shoulder person to your right. Look at that person and say, smile, you look beautiful. Raise up your left hand. Raise up your left hand. Tap the shoulder person to your left. Look at that person and say, looks are deceiving. Guys, I normally start my presentation with asking permission, which I'm going to do right now. By the way, this is a beautiful place, isn't it? Are you guys having a good time? More importantly, are you learning? Good. So I normally start my presentation by asking permission, which I'm going to do right now. Will you permit me to first introduce to you the people who travel with me all over the world, starting with the most important people in my life, and that's the one and only love of my life. Is that okay? That's my wife, by the way, my wife. Lilia, where are you? Can you stand up so people can get to know you? Guys, I'm the one on the left. Lilia was my high school sweetheart. And we're celebrating our 37th wedding anniversary this year. Don't clap, you don't know the story. We were engaged for 9 years before we got married. I forgot to marry her. Her father reminded me. Now, will you allow me to introduce you my kids? You know, in the eyes of fathers, they still look like kids to you, but my son is not exactly young. Brian is 35 years old now, very single and available. He's into this Leica photography thingy, but he's a drummer, he's a musician, he's a business person, and together with his Japanese partner, Shinji, they run restaurants in Manila, Philippines. And my daughter, Hannah, she's beginning to create a name for herself. I'm now beginning to be known as, you're the daddy of Hannah Kong. And I say, yes. And Hannah is doing wedding gowns and cocktail dresses. Her specialization is embroidery, because about 4.5 years ago, we sent her to Paris, where she studied embroidery in a school owned by House of Chanel. We have not recovered our investments yet. Long ROI. And she just had her fashion show the other night. And my youngest, Rachel, graduated multimedia arts. She's now working for the best boss in the world, her father. Sweetheart, greet everybody. There you go. Last year, we had a very meaningful father and daughter conversation. I said, sweetheart, you've been serving your dad so well, I've decided to increase your salary. And she says, what are you talking about? You're my father, I'm your daughter, you don't have to do that. She says, I want profit sharing. So she's now running my business. Now, I'm going to offer you options with a very limited time that I'm given. So here's the option. Would you like me to make my presentation very informative, inspirational, educational, serious, solemn, and sacred? Or would you want me to make this fun? Why? Do you remember those terrible moments in class when you had boring professors and teachers? And they bored you to death, do you remember? Are they with you this time? No. Okay. You know, the tragedy was not that you were bored to death, but the real tragedy was that you wasted time, you left the room without remembering anything, right? And then once in a while, you have some very innovative and very creative speakers who did not only make the session entertaining, he made it fun, or she makes it fun, and then you actually remember the lessons. Am I correct? So would you like me to make this both educational and fun? Why? Because fun is important, right? The best way to learn is to have fun. Am I right? Raise up your left hand. Quick, don't waste time. Quick. Tap the shoulder person to your left. Look at that person and say, fun is important. Raise up your right hand. Quick. Tap the shoulder person to your right. Look at that person and say, you look very funny. Well, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Solomon King for inviting me over. This is not my first time, and this guy is making a difference in the lives of young people and in the world. Do you agree? Hey, why don't you give him a clap of appreciation? Making a difference in this world. And can I ask you to do me a favor? Next time, please vote and nominate him for the next Nobel Peace Prize awardee for what he's doing, right? Getting there. The world is changing in ways and means we could never imagine. The business world uses a military term to describe the current condition that's happening right now. The business world uses the term VUCA, V-U-C-A. What does VUCA mean? Well, V stands for business is volatile. U stands for business is totally uncertain. C, business stands for extremely complex. And A means business is extremely ambiguous. You combine all these factors together, and that will explain the business world, and that explains the business landscape. In fact, if you take a look at all the 4 factors, it describes the world we are in living right now. Even as we speak, everything is changing. And when we say change, we don't just talk about change. This is the reason why every time I listen to a speaker say, change is happening so fast. That's a grave understatement. The change that you and I are going through, we are going through a period of disruptions. The change that are happening can totally destroy an industry altogether. I'm going to give you an experiment, and we're going to make this fast. Who's the youngest person here in this group? Do we have anybody who's 18 years old? 17. Okay. Do we have any 16-year-old here? No. Okay, 17. Mom, what's your name? Stephanie. And what place are you from? Mexico. Lovely place. Now, Stephanie and I, we just met right here, right? Okay. Now, we're going to do an experiment. This is totally unscripted. You're 17? You're so young. Does your mama know you're here? Yes. Okay. So, I will challenge Stephanie with the world's #1 brands. And I can almost ascertain she could not recognize any one of them. Are you ready for this experiment, guys? Stephanie, are you ready? Look at me. Okay, here we are. Are you familiar with the following brands? #1, Olivetti. Underwood. Smith Corona. Remington. See? Professors. Who are the professors here who are no longer young? What are the brands? Olympia. Not so much. What are the brands I'm referring to? See, none of you seem to recognize them. Can I surprise you if I tell you these were the former #1 brands in the world? They are typewriters. See? Now, there was one time when I asked one young girl, are you familiar with Olympia? She says, yes. What is it, camera? No, that's Olympus. Next question, is there anybody here still using Sony Walkman? No? What is the thingy that you insert in your Sony Walkman in order to make it work? What do you call that? Cassette. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, a cassette tape will never function without the assistance of a pencil. living in a different world. As of this moment, I'm going to show you everything is changing so fast. It's unbelievable. The world is being challenged. Now, when you take a look at V, volatile, what does that mean? My last day in New York, together with my son Brian, we were preparing to come home. That was the day when Powers got bombed. Do you remember that day? And immediately, the next day, this was what we saw. All major airlines immediately launched their promo airfare. Meaning to say, something can happen in one corner of the world and then it affects every person on this planet. Business is totally uncertain. Your success today doesn't translate to perennial success. In other words, if you're successful today, you better make sure that you do the right thing because success has a very short shelf life. See, business is complex. Doing business used to be very simple. You buy low, you sell high, you make a profit in between. Today, there's so many factors included in just doing business alone. How many among you are taking up entrepreneurship or you wish to enter business when you get out of school? You're going to know what I mean when I talk about things like this. And letter A, business is totally ambiguous. You don't even know where your competition will be coming from. That's why for such a beautiful hotel like Marriott, how many among you are staying in Marriott? What is the biggest challenge to Marriott now? Airbnb. What is the biggest challenge now to taxis and car rental? Everything is being challenged. One tweak, one twist can totally disrupt an industry and render that industry into the age and era of the typewriters. This is why I'm going to give you certain things for you to understand what's going on right now. I'm in business, by the way, and I'm a business consultant cross industries, but I love speaking. This talk of mine officially now marks my 155th talk for the year. And it's a slow year for me. Last year, I finished the year with 320. If you love what you do, it's no longer work. Am I right? How many among you love what you do? Raise up your hand. Yeah, that's good. Now, if you love what you do, you don't even notice that you've gotten old. Well, until about 4 years ago, after giving a talk in a very respected university in the middle portion of the Philippines, there was a very beautiful, attractive, talented, fourth-year female student, beauty queen material, who came to me and said, Francis, actually, this is not my first time to hear you speak. I said, is that right? When was the first time? And she smiled, and she's really pretty. And then she says, sir, that was when I was 10 years old. Shut up, I said. 5 Novembers ago, there's this very elegant business lady. You know the work, signature all over. Manolo Blahnik down there, Birkin back up there, ostrich skin. And then she says, Francis, you got to know this. You are the favorite of my parents. I wasn't excited. She's 48 years old. But as long as a person continues to learn, that person will never grow old. Am I right? Am I right? Raise up your right hand. You're too quiet. I don't like that. Tap the shoulder person to your right. Look at that person and say, you still look so young to me. Raise up your left hand. Tap the shoulder person to your left. Look at that person and say, never tell a lie. Now, the world is changing fast and ways and means we can never imagine. The business world uses a military term to connote the pressure and the competition going on. That's why this morning the news just got out. HBO got hacked. And the hackers stole 2 series, threatening to release them by this Sunday. What are the series? Number 1, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And the other one is Ballers. I don't know why why they were interested in those series. I don't know. Well, next, there's political uncertainty, isn't it? The whole eyes is now fixed and fixated on the Korean Peninsula, never knowing what's going to happen next. Would Asia witness major conflict? I don't know. Things are just so uncertain. I'm in the field of business and consultancy, and every moment, even as we speak, change is not just happening. That's why when somebody says change is happening so fast, that's a great understatement. Change is accelerating in ways and means we could never have imagined. Take a look at the following things. Right now, as we speak, these are the following areas where change is accelerating. Number 1, networks. Number 2, sensors. Number 3, robotics. Number 4, artificial intelligence. Number 5, synthetic biology. 6, genomics and DNA. Nanotechnology, digital machines and medicines, or Internet of Things. And universal basic income, UBI. Guess what? Let me give you a scenario. These are not just changing fast. All of this are accelerating in each change, and all of this are happening all at the same time. That can put a lot of stress to your life and mine. As a matter of fact, by the time you leave school, maybe, many jobs and industries would have been eradicated. Am I making sense? So, where does that put you and me? Well, here are some things I want to share with you. The future is where and what we do right now as we prepare for it. And when I take a look at all the bright and young and brilliant minds here in this place, nothing could ever change my mind with my persuasion, with my conviction saying that the future belongs to you and my children too. I only have a few more years to live. I know my mission here will be very, very limited now. And I'm not exactly young. Where's Stephanie? Stephanie? Oh, are you still with me? Okay, there you go. Without making any mental calculation, can you guess what my age is? Quick. I'm beginning to love her already. I'm going to give you a book of mine, all right? 50. You know why I'm asking this question? This is my hypothesis, that very, very young people are so poor with math. I had 3 guys having coffee with me, inviting me to speak in their school. I speak in schools all the time, by the way. How many among you are from the Philippines? Raise up your hand. You guys know I'm very expensive, right? I'm one of the most expensive trainers and speakers in Manila, Philippines. But I still continue to give talks in schools, and I give parenting talks and educator seminars and students. And I never charge money. I don't accept honorarium. Been doing this for about 15 to 10, 20 years now. In fact, today I have had many of the students who were struggling in class before they heard me. Today they've become my clients. They make me more money. Not bad, a cycle, isn't it? Now watch. You got to understand one important thing now. Those young people who invited me for coffee, they're so poor with math. I turned to the 14-year-old girl and I said, can you guess how old I am? And she looked at me and says, 94. I almost choked her. Things are so different now. Somebody's delayed in laughing. The future is in your hands. In making this world better, the future belongs to my children's hand. My responsibility as a parent is I got to make sure that I prepare them so they become productive citizenry in preparing this world for a better future. Don't you think so? Now, would they be in a position to make a difference in this world and lead the world to a positive change? People my age have done our part. We're still doing it. But it's still only a finality of time left for us to do what we're doing. But as I look into the world, I see modern-day technology making us wiser and brighter. But the question that has always haunted me is this. How come the world is not getting any better in proportion to the major breakthroughs that mankind has achieved. How come people still kill each other? Let's not go far. How come people bully each other in Facebook? How come people are so cruel? With all the modern day technology, with all the advancement in science, has the world gotten better in terms of human relationship? I don't know. You tell me. How many more are in Facebook? Raise up your hand. How come not everyone? How many more are still with Friendster? They're no longer there, right? Guys, let me just share with you something that I posted in my Facebook page. It went viral. Can I introduce you my Facebook page? You know, after I speak, people want to buy my books. I always encourage them, you don't have to buy my books. That's going to cost you money. But every single day I post something there. One day I post something there and I said, hey, guys, Facebook is a billboard. It's not a diary. Everybody put good stuff in Facebook, but deep inside them, they're struggling. You know why this page is important for me? Because this is the very page where I communicate with the young people. They ask me for advice. And I don't have any assistants. I don't have anybody doing the work for me. I'm the one answering advice. They communicate with me through PM. What is PM? Yeah, they ask me for advice. 10%, they ask me for business advice. 90%, love. Yeah. God has allowed me to use this page to convince, last count, 9 young people not to push through with committing suicide. I've met 4 of them. And every single one of them who plan to take their own lives, you open their profile page, it's all beautiful things. Nobody talks about their struggles there. And that's why for young people like you take a look at your own life and you take a look at the Facebook pages of other people and then you feel bad because they're having a good time and apparently you're not. There's something wrong with you. You're looking at the billboard. You're not looking at the diary. Am I making sense? You're too quiet. I don't like that. Raise up your left hand. Tap the shoulder person to your left. Look at that person and say, learn to be happy. Raise up your right hand. Tap the shoulder. Look at that person and say, stop doing Facebook now. We seem to be constantly in pursuit of certain things and experiences, but the question I want to ask you right now is this: are they the right pursuits in life? That is the question. You and I are now living in the fast lane where there's no traffic. Everything now is moving so fast. And the strange thing is that our body lies on the couch while our minds are still on the treadmill. You know, the thing about treadmill is you're constantly moving where you're not getting anywhere. Some genius thought of this. Well, tradition says this is credited to George Carlyle. I'm not very sure. I'm going to share this with you. Somebody with a brilliant mind says, today we have taller buildings but shorter tempers, wider freeways but narrower viewpoints. Well, today we spend more but we have less. We buy more, but we enjoy it less. And we buy more online, by the way. We have more degrees, but we seem to be making less sense. We have more knowledge, but less judgment. Very strange. Today, there are more experts, but we have more problems. More medicine, but less wellness. We drink too much, smoke too much, spend too recklessly, laugh too little, and drive too fast, get too angry too quickly, stay up too late, get up too tired, read too seldom, watch TV or the screen too much, and pray too seldom. We have increased our possessions, but decreased our values. We talk too much, laugh too seldom, and lie too often. We've learned how to make a living, but maybe we have not learned how to make a life. We've added years to life, but not life to years. Wow, these are times of fast foods and slow digestion, tall man and short character, steep profits and shallow relationships, more leisure, less fun. These are days of more sex, but less love. These are more videotapes, but less real relationship. More fancy houses, but broken homes. Am I so far on target? Yeah. Well, something must be wrong here. We want to make a change in the world, but there's not much good, positive change happening in the homes. Very strange. In the business world where I operate, there's too much cost, not enough value. Too much speculation, not enough investment. Too much complexity, not enough simplicity. Too much counting, not enough trust. Too much business conduct, not enough professional conduct. Too much salesmanship, not enough stewardship. Too much focus on things, not enough focus on commitment. Too many 21st century values, not enough 18th century virtues. Well, too much success, maybe not enough character. It doesn't make sense. We want to make a change in the world? Ladies and gentlemen, the change should first start with you and me. Make sense? Now, here's the key. Here's the challenge. Mahatma Gandhi says, you better be the change you want to see in the world. And that's why, before we can effect positive change in the world, we got to make sure there's a positive change that happens in your life and mine. And I'm going to share with you different stories of stupid things that I've done in the past that did not work out well. But so far, as I share these things with you, not from the vantage point of trying to impress you with the successes that I haven't achieved them. But at least you might be aware so you don't have to make the same mistake. Would that be a good proposition to you? So I'm going to weave certain stories in my presentation. And if our technical person can give me the time left so that I will know how much more time I have. Yesterday, I posted a message in my Facebook page. Here's what it says. People want to make a difference, but only very few of them would want to be different. People want to be better, but not everyone is willing to change. Well, change starts from within, and it takes a lot of courage and determination to take the first step. It is not true that it takes a long time to change. Not true at all. What is true is all it takes is 1 nanosecond to change, but a lifetime of maintaining that change. Don't believe people when they tell you, but in order for change to happen, it's going to take a long time. Change happens when you determine you want to change. But you got to spend a whole lifetime of maintaining that change. The question is, why is there need to change anyway? Now, change can be changing for the good, and change can be changing for the worse. That's why change in itself is moral neutral. We want to make sure that we're changing for the better. And perhaps one more question within the span of time I have is, what should I do in order to effect positive change? Well, technology drives change. But guess what? All the technology in the world will not be able to solve all human problems. Be honest with me. Have you ever met some techie person, when they talk to you, they make you feel so inferior, like you're a second-class citizen? Let me repeat that. Have you ever met people who are so good with computers, but when they talk to you, they make you feel like you are so inferior to them? Have you? Like, don't you understand that? Well, every time you come across somebody behaving like that, the magic word is Emma. Try saying that, Emma. You'll be surprised because what I'm going to show you is some old-fashioned common sense. But the problem with common sense, it is not very common. So we're going to bring back certain things that I hope you'll find useful. How many among you want to be successful? Raise up your hand. If you want to be successful, being successful is an outcome. Everybody say outcome. To get to your outcome, you need behaviors. Right behaviors bring you to the right outcome. Wrong behaviors lead you to the wrong. Now, let me ask you a question. For where you are to your desired outcome, what is the shortest distance? Do you guys go to school? What is the shortest distance? A straight line, right? Therefore, what does that mean? That means with your set of defined outcome that is right in front of you, you make the right behaviors and stay on track on that highway that can bring you to your desired outcome. But the road getting to your desired outcome is full of humps and lumps and bumps and construction going on and detours. It doesn't matter. Once you get off track, as all of us would, we got to make sure we're going to come back and then stay on track. And then that leads us to our desired outcome. But in our journey from where we are to our desired outcome, you and I need Waze or Google Maps. We need a navigational device so that that navigational device now serves as a compass that can help us maneuver our way and then as we navigate through the uncertainties of life. And things are going to grow even more uncertain, I can assure you. Success. What is success? First, let me give you the definition, or let me give you the description of what success is. Success should be sustainable. Success should be replicable. I'm going to repeat that. For somebody to describe a certain state or an event or a person to be successful, that means that success should be sustainable and that success should be replicable. Any success that is not sustainable and any success that cannot be multiplied, we have a term for that. We call that jackpot. It's a chance thing. In other words, somebody got lucky. Now, luck is not a viable business strategy for your life and mine. Success should be sustainable. Success should be replicable. Now, here's the irony. The strange thing is now is while we talk about change, the foundation for success remains the same. Why? Values should never change. If values change, they ain't values in the first place. Thomas Jefferson says, in terms of fads and style, we swim with the tide. But in terms of principles, we stand solidly like a rock. Values should never change. And I have been in this planet, Stephanie, I forgot to tell you, I am now 62 years old. All right? And over the years, I know, I look more like 50. What can I do? That's not my fault. So you get a book from me, all right? And I have seen the ebb and flow of people who used to be very famous and talented, and suddenly their success disappears. It's not sustainable. And I have seen people who started from scratch, and now they're getting better and getting even bigger, even as the time passes by. Values should never change. Why do good people mess up? Why do people make mistakes? You see, from where you are to your desired outcome, somewhere along the way, you're going to go through crossroads. That crossroads now will have to make you decide. You have to make a decision. You know why people mess up? They make wrong decisions. Wrong decisions causes a person to suffer setback. Decision-making is extremely important. But then here comes the value of values and decision-making. This I got from the lesser-known brother of the Disney pair. His name is Roy Disney. Roy Disney says something about values that is so beautiful. I'm using that for my own life. I'm using that for my family. I'm using that for my businesses. And it works all the time. Roy Disney says, if you have predetermined values, then it is extremely easy to make a decision. When you have predetermined values, when you come across a road that you have to make a decision with values that are ingrained in you, it's easy to make a decision. You don't have to be lured and tempted and enticed to make the wrong one. Nature and environment is destroyed by abuse and misuse. Human potential is destroyed by underuse, wrong use, or non-use at all. There are resources that you and I have been gifted with no matter what your economic status is. And so you and I need to manage these resources correctly so that we can go out there and make this world a better place, but by first making it better, you and me. Would you like me to share the 5 resources with you? Are you still with me? Raise up your right hand. Tap the shoulder person to your right. Look at that person and say, I'm so interested to learn. Raise up your left hand. Tap the shoulder person to your left. Look at that person and say, you look so sleepy. Here are the major resources you and I need to manage well. Number 1, attention. The world now is populated by people moving around like walking dead. Partial attention, eyes glued on their phone, not really knowing what's happening. Some of you may be seated down there, but your minds are flying all over the place. Let me ask you a question. Hey, how many among you have been in love? Raise up your hand. There you go. What is the starting place for love? Attention, isn't it? Hey, girls, look at me. I'm going to give you a love advice. Would you like that? I love you guys so much. I normally charge extra for this. And because I love Kim and I love you guys, I won't charge you extra. But after the talk, there will be a passing of the basket for tithes and offerings. So here's the key, huh? The number 1 starting point for love is attention. That's why, girls, look at me. I have 2 daughters. That's why I'm an expert in that area. Never give your heart to a boy or a man who pays more attention on his cell phone than on you. And when you're having dinner, and then somebody beautiful walks by and the attention is diverted, leave that guy right away. Look, success, it's not hocus. Success is not pocus. Success is focus. You stay on track. You focus. These are important things I need to do. Hey, you're going to hate me for saying this. I'm going to sound like your nagging parents. Your priority is to make good in school. You mix it up with a lot of activities that will sap away your attention and your energy. It's going to be very difficult to manage. There will always be time. To everything, there's a time. I love what the wisest man in the world says. You find that with Solomon. Solomon says to everything, there's a time. There's a time to be born. There's a time to die. When you try to short-circuit that time and you pack in a lot of useless activities that will not add value to your success goals, what does that mean? It robs away your attention. So you are so distracted already. There are so many people in the Philippines who would like me to mentor them for public speaking. I don't do that. Well, I did. I did about 2 or 3, and afterwards I stopped doing it. But there are so many people, and I want to be polite. We're having coffee. The very first sign that encourages me to say, I don't want to train this guy is very simple. When that person has shifty eyes. And you're talking with that person, he could not concentrate. His eyes are wandering all over the place. I mean, there's a lot of things happening in that mind. He is not engaged with me. Are you after? Can you understand what I'm saying? Like some of you, you're not engaging with me. You're still thinking about where to go after the conference. Attention is a very important resource you need to do. The second one now is energy. You know, the beautiful thing about energy is this. You don't use energy, you're going to lose it. You use it too much, you're going to lose it too. That's a beautiful thing about energy. Now, what's this, huh? What's this? Energy now, young people have all the energy in the world, but it has to be channeled towards the right things. Why? Too much energy. Energy is what you have that old people like me are beginning to lose, apart from hair. Yeah. But energy is so important. Have you ever heard people say, life is not a 100-meter dash, life is a marathon? Wrong. That's no longer acceptable. Life is not a marathon. You know why? In a marathon, you can pace yourself. Life is a series of different spurts. There are times when you need to rush, like we're in the 100-meter dash. There are times when you need to pace yourself. Doesn't that make more sense? That's why you got to learn how to manage your energy. Your energy is limited, and it takes time for you to recharge. But once you've taken time to recharge and then you use your energy in the wrong things, man, you're just wasting a lot of resources. Next. Number 1, attention. Number 2, energy. Number 3, time. The beautiful thing about Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and Warren Buffett and you and me, we are all given exactly 24 hours in the day. I don't think Michael Dell is given more hours than us. So the question now is, how do you invest time? I have refused to use the term spend time. I should not spend time. I should invest in time. Never put your attention and energy and time in activities that will not add value to your success goals. Doing Pokemon Go will not add value to your success goals. Doing Clash of Clans will not. The world has produced more and more technology that offers entertainment rather than education. Not a very good thing. Entertainment distracts. Education engages. Since you have time, you want to use your resources, make sure you invest your time and resources into activities that would educate you, so that those resources are not wasted. There's something beautiful about the human mind. The human mind works like a computer hard disk. Garbage in, what? Garbage out, right? So whatever things that you put into your mind will always come out and be translated in terms of actions. Can I be honest and personal with you? I'm going to say something that will upset a lot of people, that's my job. My job is to upset people. The most important lesson I've learned from a seasoned speaker is this, Francis. After you speak, you either make people like you or you make people hate you. But after you have spoken and they feel nothing, you failed in your job. Make sense? The number 1 sin of speakers and writers is causing boredom. And I don't want you to be bored. Are you bored already? Okay. Who's that guy? You have such a nice voice. Who is it? Yeah, you have such a nice voice. You can be a boxer. Okay, watch, huh? Don't trust what you see in screens. The media is not an arbiter of truth. Media defines culture. I had a television segment in Manila, and I was talking to the famous TV host, and he says, Francis, could you simplify your thoughts and presentation? Because our market belongs to the common people and the masses, because our medium is so powerful. And I look at this guy and I said, because we are so powerful, don't you think it is your responsibility and mine to lift up their standards too? Don't dumb them down. Media is not the arbiter of truth. And today, what terms do we have? Fake news, false news, right? Famous Hollywood actor Denzel Washington mouthing the same sentiments of Mark Twain or Samuel Clemens says, if I don't read the newspaper, I'm uninformed. If I read the newspaper, I'm misinformed. So where do I stand now? The media people will always say, no, Francis, we don't define culture. We merely show the reality of what culture is. I said, no, come on, don't kid me. We're both communicators. We're in the business of persuasion. Culture is defined by media. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you the lyrics of a song that has been so popular, but we sing the song, sometimes we don't realize the message. Are you familiar with the Black Eyed Peas? They're the most modern philosophers of the 21st century. And what is the song that made them famous? Where is the love? Good. Sweetheart, could you play that piece of music?
People dying, children hurt and even and crying. When you practice what you preach, and what you turn the other cheek. Father, 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 help us. Send some guidance from above. 'Cause people got me questioning. Where is the love?
You're not that nice. Look at the lyrics, huh? Beautiful, philosophical. What's this? Wrong information always shown by the negative images is the main. Infecting young minds faster than kids want to act like what they see in the next. Yo. It's not complete unless I do that. Whatever happened to the values of humanity, whatever happened to the fairness and equality, instead of spreading love, we're spreading a lack of understanding, leading us away from unity. Next, the truth is kept secret. It's swept under the rug. If you never know truth, then you never know love. Where's the love? Yeah. That's the complete. Come on, I don't know. Don't trust media. You and I should be equipped to understand and discern what is truthful and what is not. Not just because something is popular means it's the truth. I'm going to go a little bit faster. Are you still okay? So what are the resources? Let me see if you're learning. Number one, attention. Number two, number three, time. Number four, money. How many among you have problems with money? How many among you have problems with money all the time? You need another seminar. Money. Hey, for you guys, there are two expressions you need to stay away from in order to preserve your money. You know what those two expressions are? Number one, YOLO. You only live once, so I might as well splurge everything in it. The second expression that has been robbing your money away is called FOMO. What is FOMO? Fear of missing out. So the next time somebody shows you the Instagram featuring a new foodie and a new place, I gotta go there, I might miss that out. Sure, you're gonna miss your money. You know what? Money is an emotional thing, isn't it? I know that because that's my business. I'm in retail, man. I'm in retail. Can I just share with you one very simple expression of money? Let me see. This is a smartphone. It's put on display. After attending a financial seminar or money management seminar, you tell yourself, that's right, the speaker is right. I lack discipline in controlling my impulses. So while you're going home, you're going to be passing by a shopping mall and then, I need that. Look, 10-second rule. What is the 10-second rule? Before you decide to buy that thing, you got to ask yourself this question. Hey, before seeing that thing, I never needed that. Now that saw it, I need it. Stupid, you don't need it. Don't forget the stupid part. Now, I have a surprise for you. It is an emotional decision that you make every time you want to make a purchase. But many people make decisions based on emotions too, and they don't think. Let me ask you another question. Let's complete the series of questions. How many among you have been in love? Raise up your hand. Next question. How many among you have been hurt because of love? Raise up your hand. How many among you have done stupid things because you were in love? Oh, there are more now. In other words, you use your feeling to decide for you, isn't it? Every single successful entrepreneur and professional I have met today, they have mastery over their moods and emotions. There are two important facets, or there are two important parts of life that you and I need to know how to manage well. This is the feeling part. This is the doing part. Successful people do their way into feeling. Losers feel their way into doing. What do I mean? Successful people say, I don't feel like doing it. I hate doing it. But because it needs to be done, I'm going to do it right away. And in the process of doing that thing, the feeling is not so bad after all. The other part of the spectrum are people who will never do things because everything is based on that person's feelings. I don't want to do it because I don't feel like doing it. So the thing that is important for you, you missed out. Why? Because you simply felt like not doing it. And this is what I like. And then the very thing that you like will be the very thing that will destroy you and cause you to be off track. Not a very good thing. This is why success in life has very little to do with intelligence, education. They're all important. But the major component in it is how do you use all those resources and never allow it to go haywire and never allow it to go mad because you simply could not manage your emotions. Here's something else I want you to remember. There was a time when people say, you want to be successful, you need to have high or average IQ. Today, people know IQ alone will not hack it. You got to have high what? EQ. Now, let's process this. What is IQ? Intelligence quotient. Yeah? And what is EQ? You want to be good in business, you want to be good in your profession, you also need to have high AQ. What is AQ? AQ means adversity quotient. The ability to bounce back after every failure. High IQ, high EQ, high AQ. I do a lot of training for young people in the workplace. Today, I'm beginning to see a lot of young people who can't control their emotions. I mean, when you go to work, you go out of school, life pressures intensify, right? And then these are the young people who never control their feelings, are the very same people who say, I'm so overwhelmed. The person just started working, I'm so stressed. You just came in 1 week, you're stressed, let me kick you out of the place. Huh? These are the same people who say, I'm out of here. These are the same people who say, this job is not for me. Well, if you don't have the emotional stability to handle the very thing that you need to do, and you want to escape all the time because the job is not for you, well, what job would be good for you anyway? You understand what I'm saying? You got to have that ability to bounce back after every failure. If your boss happens to be a jerk and you don't feel good about that person, you still can manage to learn something from that person. And then that makes you stronger. And then that makes you, the biggest challenge now in the workplace is a tiny little adversity now drives young people away by simply saying, this job is not for me. Let me ask you a question. Do you make mistakes? When we make mistakes, do our parents or your future bosses, will they correct us and reprimand us? When they reprimand us and they correct us, is that painful or is that pleasurable? Painful. Now, what do winners do? They absorb the pain. They process the situation. They learn from their mistakes. And now they become stronger, they become tougher, they become wiser. Am I right? Now, is it good for you to say, this job is not for me? Let me ask you another question. At what age does a child begin walking? 1. Have you ever seen babies being born, then suddenly they're running all over the place? Those are monsters and gremlins. They're not, okay? Now, once the first attempt of a child begins to walk, does the child fall down or not? Yeah, so one attempt, boom. What does the mother do or the father does? Picks it up and then trains the child, and then next attempt, what? Maybe this time, 2 steps. Does the baby fall down? Yeah, so we pick it up again. So they learn, right? And then next attempt, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. Have you ever heard the child say, I don't think walking is for me? No. I've got news for you. High IQ, high EQ, high AQ, HBR. This is no longer Francis Kong, right? HBR. Harvard Business Review now says, today, the totality of a successful person is you got to need high SQ. What is SQ? Not Singaporean Airlines. SQ now means high spirituality quotient. Spirituality quotient. Now, every time you come across the word spirituality, don't be threatened because life is not everything about science. You think about it. Science never teaches you how to have a happy life. Right? Not everything is explained by science. There's a spiritual component to life. Can you imagine writing a love letter to the person you love in terms of science? The moment my ocular nerve connected with you, there's a compulsion within me to exchange body fluid with you. What are you talking about? The simple thing about that is the moment I set my eyes on you, I feel like kissing you. It's as easy as that, right? But guess what? Experts today are now saying something different. You got to have high IQ, high EQ, high AQ, high SQ today in order for you to be successful. You got to have high LQ. What is LQ? Not lovers quarrel. LQ now means likability quotient. You got to make yourself likable. This world is connected. You can't succeed alone. You need to be working with people. Just because you're good at what you do doesn't mean other people are dumber than you. You and I are all experts, but we're all experts only in different subject matters. And we need other people to help us through. Am I making sense? I'm very good at business. And I'm very good at making money for business. I am never good at keeping the money I made. When I have money, it's got to disappear. But God has blessed me with a wife who took up accountancy. That's why I refer to my wife as my one and only treasure. And treasurer as well. The mark of a successful person is to understand his or her own limitations as well. And then outsourcing that area of weakness with people whose strengths are with them, right? We all need to work together. If only we would know that. This is not an ego comparison between who's better, then maybe the world will be a better place. Don't you think so? Media defines culture. Truth, by the way, truth is never manufactured. Truth is never made. Truth is revealed. You can't make up truth. You can't say what is good for me, that's a truth for me. What is good for you, that's a truth for you. No. Truth should have a solid, absolute moral reference. And you got to seek it. Well, let me conclude. Are you enjoying this, by the way? Okay. Well, when I talk about leading change, what I'm referring to is the first person that needs to change is myself. I've accomplished things. Good. Celebrate. But yesterday ended last night. Today's a brand new beginning. After doing my prayers in the morning, the first question I asked myself is, what is it that I need to do in order to level up? Because the fifth major resource that you and I need to do now to manage well is attention, energy, time, finances, and relationships. No one can succeed alone. When you leave your school premises and begin working, you will realize one inescapable fact. You will be spending more hours of the day working than you do for your own personal life. That means the majority of our life will be spent doing work. When we have a very nice working relationship with people, number one, because we're likable. Number two, because we respect them. Number three, because we're growing and we're helping them. Number four, because we understand how to manage our energy and time and attention. Then what does that mean? No matter how hard work will be, as long as there's good relationship with the people working there, then it's a bearable day. It becomes a beautiful day, isn't it? You try working, even if you're paid high, but if you can't stand the person you're working with, every day is living hell with you. Not a very good thing. We need to manage our relationships very, very importantly. Why? As I said, there are ancient values that will never go out of style, no matter how fast and how disruptive the world has happened. Number one, respect. Number two, humility. Number three, care. Number four, looking at the big picture, understanding where that person is coming from. You and I are born with factory defects. In other words, we have within us that can make us do things that can hurt other people. That's why when you were in love, not only were you hurt, you also hurt others too. Make sense? But understanding the big picture, knowing that you and I are intertwined, we got to make sure that we protect that relationship. And for a 62-year-old guy like me, the most important relationship is my family as well. My kids are all grown up. They don't want to get married. I'm kicking them out. My designer daughter is getting married next March. Yeah. One thing I have noticed is at the home, if there's a stable relationship with all the people there, their children are not in a hurry to leave the home. Right? That's why for me, I can go right now. I'm ready. God can take me home. What is important now is that I have prepared my children to take care of the next generation by taking care of themselves first. They need to be givers, not takers. They need to be unselfish, not selfish. They need to look at the big picture. They need to be good stewards of their time and attention and money and relationship energy so that you and I help make the world a better place. We constantly ask ourselves, there's just so much wickedness in the world. How do we deal with the wickedness in the world? Have we ever taken the time to ask ourselves, how do we deal with the wickedness that is within us? And to make sure that we are not contribution to the world's defects as well. Change has got to begin with you and me. And that puts me in the position. There was a time when I was your age. I would blame the government, I would blame the world, I would blame the old people, I would blame everything. Finally, one day when I look at myself in the mirror, I said, you are the problem. Change has got to begin with me. I've always thought that being successful in business and being successful in career would make me earn a lot of money so I can buy a lot of stuff. That's being selfish, isn't it? And then for many years, I've been giving talks in schools. 6 months ago, I was invited to speak in a multinational company in the call center business. And the country manager, a tall young guy, approached me and he said, "Hi, I'm the country manager here. And I was the one who fought for you. I wanted you to come and train our people." I said, "Why?" He says, "When I was in college, I was a struggling student with failing grades. And so one day you came and you said something, it resonated with me. Then from that day on, turned my life around. That's why I want my people to share, to have the same experience that I had with you. You know, for me, I would have offered that training program for free. I've been compensated with that. Here's the thing about contributing to the world. Sometimes we don't get rewarded. Sometimes we don't get recognized. Sometimes people will even blame us. You shake the comfort zone of certain people so that things will become better. They will become your instant enemies. They will offer resistance to change. But you stick to what is right. You gotta find that in life, one of the most important ingredients is not money, it's not success, it's dignity. Have you found, let me just ask one more question because I want to be proper. Can I spare about 5 minutes more? Okay. Thank you. You can come and help me here. Have you ever realized the meaning of the word dignity? Dignity is simply defined as worth without substitute. That's why when a person has dignity, that worth cannot be bought. Money cannot buy that person. Fame cannot destroy that person. Popularity will not be able to shake that person because that person has worth that is unshakable. There is no substitute. And I'm going to end here with just a few practical tips, and you have to bring this home with you, and then you evaluate this. Where do you get your worth from? Instead of telling you where you should get your worth from, I'm going to do the reverse. These are the things where you should not get your worth from. Number one, do not get your worth from things. That is called acquisition. I gotta have a new car, I gotta have a house, I gotta have a new gadget, so forth and so on. When something like Yolanda happened to our country and everything was washed off, and if only things can give you worth, then you're left with being nothing and you feel nothing and you are indeed nothing. Because that's the only thing that gives you worth. Next, don't get your worth from what you do. Not everything we do will be successful, but everything done offers lessons to be learned. You don't tell yourself, I failed. You just simply tell yourself, I'm paying tuition to learn. Next, do not get your worth from how you look. This is a major problem with the very young call center agents that we have in our country. They're being paid well, but at the end of the month, they don't have even any savings. And when I do training, I look at them and I say, why are these guys spending so much money on designer clothes? They're expensive. Are you familiar with the term designer clothes? Huh? Do you know those logos that they have? Like somebody riding the horse? This one, right? Yeah. Now, that's okay. My only problem is it gets bigger and bigger. One day, it will be all horse, no person. Are you familiar with the alligator that creeps on your chest? Yeah, this guy puts on a masking tape. No, I'm just teasing you. You can afford it, no problem. But if you got to wear something expensive so that it can increase your worth, you have a problem. So, you don't get your worth from things. You don't get your worth from what you do. You don't get your worth from how you look. You don't get your worth from what other people say. That's called approval. What if you're the only person who needs to do what is right and everybody's against you? Does that mean you won't do it anymore? This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you separate the men from the boys. This is where you sift the wheat from the tares. This is where you know your mettle. You stick to what is right. You do what is right, no matter what people say. Exactly. And that's why, if you don't get your word from what you have, you don't get your word from what you do, you don't get your word from how you look, you don't get your word from what other people say, where are you going to get your word from? Let me give you one final advice. You get your word from what you are becoming. Are you becoming a better person? Are you becoming more selfless? Are you becoming a person and grows with the dream of making things better? Are you becoming a positive contribution to society, or are you going to cost society? Those are the things that can make you determine what is right. Pogo the thinker was right. He says we have discovered the enemy, and the enemy is ourselves. Ancient scriptures is emphatic in saying, I got to give you a new heart. I'll put my spirit within you. That's true. New heart, new spirit to effect positive change. And this is why I will end by saying this. So many people want to make a difference, but they do not want to be different. So many people want to be better, but they don't want to change. Here's my challenge to you guys. Now that you have learned so many things from the other speakers, infinitely more than you have learned from me, I want you to go out into the world now. Don't make a difference in this world. You make the world different. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, sir. I'm Paul. I'm from South Africa. I've got 3 very quick questions. First one is, how do you feel about cryptocurrency? The second one is, if you had $1,000, you were a student, what would you invest it in right now? Third one is, if you had a conference for 1,000 people, would you allow coffee on the tables? Thank you.
He is such a promising business person. He stands up and he says, this is a quick question, but he asked me 3 questions, right? Very smart. Now, you got to help me here. What's your first question again?
What do you feel about cryptocurrencies?
Cryptocurrencies is going to be a lot in the news, and it can either function as a new steam engine-driven train, or it's going to be a fad that opens itself for attack because it's going to shake up and disrupt a lot of banking institutions. So I would expect a lot of resistance coming in, because when they all get together and look at it as a one common enemy, and together with policy-making bodies, it just might make it very difficult to work. But just like the steam engine, sometimes you can't stop it from happening anymore. So right now, we're at a wait and see as to what's going to happen. What's the second question, sir?
If you were a student right now and you had like $1,000 to invest or something, what would you do with it?
If I have $1,000 right now, if I am maintaining the mind that I have right now, I'm going to use the $1,000 now to offer that as a scholarship for somebody who needs the money. The important reason is that I'm not being altruistic or something. It is a very selfish thing that I want to do. When you have the ability to learn to give money away, let me just share with you something. Can you guys help me hold something tight with your hand? Yeah, tight. That thing that you hold is $1,000, right? You hold it tight. Now, if something, look, I'm a Bible guy and I don't apologize for that. If I believe that God owns everything, one day He can come and claim ownership. Make sense? So, that thing that you hold, whether it's your children, your life, your money, your career, your home, what if God wants to take it? Use your other hand to pry the fingers slowly, but holding on tight. How does it feel? How does it feel? You don't have any feelings at all? Hard, painful, right? If I hold on tight to the money that I make and I don't want to give it away, one day, when it is taken away from me, it's going to be painful. You hold that same thing now with your loosely in the palm of your hand. You remove that thing with your left hand. How does it feel? Easy. That's not the point. The point now is, with open palms, you now have more space to even hold more. So you now become more responsible. That's why it is a selfish motive in trying to check me so as not to become greedy in the process. And your third question, sir?
If you hosted a conference for 1,000 students, would you allow them to bring coffee into the room?
Only on one condition. You buy me a cup of coffee as well. All right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael. And my question is related to the one that was asked by the gentleman from South Africa. Yes. But this one's more about UBI, Universal Basic Income, and just blockchain technology in general. So I just want to find out how you feel about having distributed ledgers and just exploring, the possibilities of the disruption that comes with using blockchain technologies. And also just your take on disruption in general, because I might need to get the business perspective, considering you're a businessman. Thank you. Thank you.
This is just me.
Yeah.
I
just
cannot
you.
generalize for everybody else here. I have never believed in a welfare state because welfare will only encourage old, lazy people to become lazier, and it punishes the people who are working hard. But right now, with the universal basic income, it seems like that's the last straw they can hold on to because if jobs are eradicated and people will be jobless, the biggest danger there is when the stomach goes hungry, social unrest will happen. And so, right now, I think that's the only thing they can think of. We just hope that they can probably, some brilliant minds and economists there will still think of something better for the meantime. Disruption. Let me talk about disruption. What is happening now is a good future for future bright minds and people like you is you have to expand your skill base without losing one area of specialization.
That's true.
In other words, if you're good at one thing, you make sure you're so good at that, but you have to open yourself to be able to be equipped with a fast learning curve and increase your repertoire of skills. That's going to make you more valuable. Why? Because in cost-benefit perspective in business, I want to hire somebody who's good at what he does, but when I ask him to do other things, he can do it too. So I don't have to hire additional people. You want to make money, you better be good at what you do. You want to earn more money, you better be excellent at what you do. You want to earn a fortune, you make sure you're the only one who can do what you do. That specialization is still there. That's why you pay doctors who are specialists a higher fee than you pay general practitioners.
Hi, I'm Adinda. I'm a senior in high school, and I'm 16 years old. My question is, what advice do you have for younger girls who want to pioneer change in a country or community where they are seen as weaker, less intelligent, or less worthy than their male counterparts?
Here's my number. Here. Yeah. 16-year-old, here's my most important advice. Don't fall in love too soon. Here's the key. Eleanor Roosevelt says, no one can make you feel inferior when you don't give them permission. When you put yourself in a position thinking that I'm always inferior compared to the other races or the other gender, and by the way, this gender thing has been abused and misunderstood. God created male and female equally, but He created them differently. The idea here is not for the men to copy the women or the women to copy the men. Fighting for rights to exist, I'm all there. But it doesn't mean you have to constantly prove to the men that you're better than them. Then that puts you in another difficult situation too. Women have unique strengths that men will never have. Girls, would you like me to give you examples? When it comes to the family home, only women can nurture children. Men are poor, they suck in that job. One more examples. There's only one thing that women can say and do that men cannot do. You wanna know what it is? I have never heard men say, let's go to the toilet. Only women can do that, by the way. That's supposed to be funny. Good thing you laugh. And so, here's what I want you to do. You concentrate on being good. Never be threatened by anyone, whether men or women. You just, I'm not going to use the word exert, but you use your work to make the announcement for you. Rather than trumpeting all over the place, say, sorry, there are people who suck in their job, and then they blame inequality for that. Let the work define you, and then express the announcement for you. So don't feel inferior. Never give permission to do that, no matter who that person is. God has made you unique. You're not the same as them. You got to tap into that potential. All right?
Good morning. My name is Wekesa Brian, and I'm a Kenyan citizen by all means. My question is that From your presentation, I've learned that success is all about passing on the baton from one generation to another. And that's why your children maybe can stand in the gap of your businesses in the event you are not there. But now my concern is about the United Nations SDGs, whereby, like for example, in the event we have a crisis somewhere, they are ready to go there and donate something to cater for the needs of the people there. But unfortunately, they are not providing some civil education so that the people from there can be equipped with some of the skills so that in the event such a crisis occurs again, they can be in a better position of solving the problems for themselves. What is it that you can do also so that the United Nations can also come up with a platform whereby people are being educated so that they can be in position to stand in the gap for their own in the event the United Nations is not there?
There are similarities in a popular cliche that goes this way. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for a day. What's the other part of the equation? You give him a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach the man to fish, you teach him for a lifetime, right? In the field where I operate, I train on leadership. Good leaders never produce good followers. Good leaders always produce more good leaders. In other words, success without succession is failure. The United Nations have been dealing with so many good initiatives that can help people. But there are always two components to help. One component will be in the form of physical material, the other form is in the terms of intellectual. And I think, I'm not familiar, I don't think the United Nations have enough personnel to do that what you're talking about. That very own country, their people should be educated, and they have to form their own team of intellectually bright minds that will also have the heart to help the country as well. No other agency or country will be able to help your own country. It has to come from your own. No one can help my family except me as the parents and my children as well. With that, it is very important to understand reliance on help alone will only make a person very dependent. What we need is to teach that person to fish and to give the intellectual ability for the people, plus the values to have the right head, but have the right heart to help their country as well. And I hope the leadership in your government would realize that.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Jesus. I'm from Saudi Arabia. In Tagalog, Kumusta ka kabayan? My question is, you talked about religion being in someone's life. So can you elaborate more about that?
Well, in order to set things straight, I never talk earlier about religion in someone else's life. I talk about religion in my own life. And as a matter of fact, I wasn't even talking about religion at all. I was talking about spirituality, which is a very personal thing with me. One thing I've learned is this: I cannot impose my faith on anyone. It's got to be something personal between me. And I can't even force my faith on my children. And so it's something within me, but that gives me the very foundation and the inside value that can give me the inner strength that can equip me as I face the outer challenges as well. But I do have to respect everybody in their belief as well. Guys, one thing I want you to learn is this: there's a difference between equality and uniformity. They're not the same. We may disagree with someone's belief, but that does not give us the right to disrespect someone else. Respect is still there. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Salamat
You're
po.
welcome.
Honorary from China. My question is, if young people try to start his first business, which direction he or she should choose? Is it try to cater to the need of the market already have, or try to create the need for the new need for the market?
The only regret I have in my life is that I never took my Mandarin seriously. Anybody here who can speak Mandarin? You do? Okay. But I still remember a couple of Mandarin phrases. Can I demo this to you? I can always remember some Mandarin phrases. This is the only thing I remember. 今天的功课明天做. 明天的功课不做了. I'm sorry. So what I'm trying to say is you got to slow down a little bit your English because I failed to hear you. So could you repeat your English, please, a little bit slower?
Okay, sorry. So I repeat my question again. My question is, if a young people try to enter his first business, which direction he or she should choose? Is try to cater to the need for the market already have.
Say that again.
If we try to cater to the need the market already have, or try to create the new need for the market.
Okay, now I get you. If a young person wants to go to business for the first time, should a young person do something that the market already has, or should that person invent something new?
Yes.
Okay. You know what? First of all, when people approach me and say, Francis, I want to go into business, what business should I enter into? Immediately, I'll say, you're not ready for business. Why? Business is defined as adding value to the marketplace. Therefore, you already know what it is that you can offer to the market, that you can add value, and because you've done a good job well, your profit is a reward for you. That is the philosophy. Now let's go to your question. Every person who wants to start business, just like anybody who wants to go to school, they pay tuition first. In other words, it is a very high probability that you're going to fail in your first few attempts in business, but you actually do not fail. You gain more knowledge and experience now. Other people now will enter business copying the models of other people because that's the easiest thing to do. And that's not wrong. But unless you offer something unique with value added into it, here are two words. Chinese people are experts here. Mark up. If you don't have enough markup, you're not going to make it. And when there are more players in the field, it is very difficult to have a good markup. You invent something new, but what if the market doesn't accept it? So in either way, there are risks, but it depends on how you start, where it is within your context and your environment that is most convenient for you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Catherine. I'm from South Africa.
Yes.
I just want to thank you and honor you for giving us something of substance today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
My question is also about the spirituality quotient, and I wanted to ask, could you tell us a little bit more about your story, your journey with that, and how has that affected your definition, your understanding of the meaning of success?
Oh, I'm a business person. I invented the local jeans company in the Philippines. But my first journey into the jeans and garments business, we were born poor. At any rate, I graduated top in my college, but when I was in school, I was stupid, I was dumb. It took me 6 years to finish high school. I earned my PhD in high school. PhD means passing high school with difficulty. And we were poor, and I was madly in love. And I played varsity basketball, so my mind and heart were at the wrong places. When I was in second year high school, when the girl who will become my wife was in first year high school. When we both became second year high school, I waited for her. Third year, 4 years, she graduated, she went to college. I decided to review my subjects again. That's why today when my high school friends ask me, how come you're not joining reunions? And I say, I want. And then they get confused. What batch do you belong to? I said, many. I have many batches. So I enter my job in garments. I love fashion. I love clothes. I'm fascinated with how you manufacture a piece of cloth and then you sell it. So my first job in the industry was, I was dressing up the clothes of mannequins in show windows. That's where I got started. But I told myself, there's dignity there, nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not stealing money. And then the tiny little itchy-bitchy yellow polka dot salary that I was receiving, I invested in books. Until today, I still read an average about 4 or 5 books in a month. I read books on salesmanship, on public relations, public speaking, presentation, advertising, PR, because I set my goals now on the next level, which is in sales. Then I went to sales, went to marketing, then an ambition to, one day I became a specialist in the garments. And then I get known in the industry. So people with extra money are always people looking for people with no money but excess talent. I had excess talent, but I don't have money. So we formed our own company, and that propelled me into business. It was a long, hard climb, but it's worth it all the way. That's my journey.
Hello, I'm Mike. I'm from China, and thanks for your inspiring speech. And my question is that you mentioned about the youth, especially, need to change the world and to find the right direction. And you also list many phenomena that now people are paying too much attention to the objects like mobile phones rather than giving loves or building relationship with the real world. And I'm sure that I want to be a changer who change the world to get closer, to create more human kindness and connections. But the fact is that there are also many changers who are in technology areas are trying to make our life, for example, make the mobile phone more advanced, more functional, more convenient, and more problem-solving. Yeah. So, of course, in a negative way, we can describe it with vicious intention. We said that the changes in technology areas make it more attractive and make people more depending on it and, by the way, earning money. So, but I'm not an anti-technology people, and usually we say that making the knowledge advance is making a progress. So my question is that how do you think that about the contradictions between the two changes, like me and the technology changes? And if I just advocating the people that throwing your phone and the convenience that phone brings you will destroy you. So if I say something like that, maybe years later, the technologies may have already solved my problems. And at that time, I think I'm not be regarded as a changer, but I will be regarded as the people that stopping the train of the history.
Sorry, could the delegate from China just try and distill down your question very clearly for us? Sorry, I'm just conscious of the other people waiting also.
My last question is, how do I know I'm a changer rather than people who's stopping the train? Okay.
You know, I've given so many talks, I've answered so many questions. That's the longest question I've ever heard in my life, which is okay. Which is okay, I know where you're coming from. How many among you have read the book Steve Jobs, the biography? Good. What's the name of the biographer and the author? Walter Isaacson. I was with Walter Isaacson in New York about 2 or 3 years ago. And Walter told me, Francis, do you know, Steve Jobs, after having a hard day at work, rushes home almost every evening to have dinner with his kids. And he never allows his kids to use the iPhone or the iPad when they're having dinner. This guy makes a lot of money selling us his stuff. But he doesn't even allow his children to use the gadget. Here's the point I'm trying to say. Technology drives change, but technology should be a tool we use. We don't let technology use us. When technology introduces Pokemon Go, and then you waste your time doing Pokemon Go, you're allowing technology to use you. You're not using it. Therefore, it now impedes on your valuable resource, which is the scarcest in the world today, that's time. You lose. You use technology to sell and you make money. That's a business model. But what I'm saying now is with the advent of technology, you don't let technology distract you from more important activities that you need to do in order to achieve success.
Hello, I'm Rajeshwari from India. And I'd like to ask you a question on relationships, yes. Mostly on the work-life relationships. Okay. So we usually deal with the idea of not having authentic relationships like in today's world. So what advice would you give for a person who's really looking for making authentic relationships even in the business life?
I'm going to give you just one phrase that will help improve your relationship with anybody else, whether you're at work or with the family. Here's the key. Always consider others better than yourself. That solves a lot of problems. When I consider other people better than myself, I begin to learn from that person. That person now doesn't have to be defensive because I'm competing with that person. And so when I consider myself better than you, that's where all the troubles begin. Our country is more powerful in trade. Our country has more missiles. That's why they can't work together. They're not learning from one another. So the basis for relationship, again, is respect. But the second most important thing now, even more important than respect, is trust. You never betray the trust of the person that you are related to. I'm going to say something sensitive. Somebody wrote me in Facebook and says, a woman stole my husband away from me. My man was stolen by another woman. I'm still debating when I'm going to post this because I'm sure many people will bash me. Well, when you say your man was stolen by another woman, it presupposes two things. Number one, the woman who stole your man does not have the right values, right? And number two, your man is not a real man because real men cannot be stolen. You can write that down. That's tweetable. Okay. Thank you.
My name is Bashir from Nigeria.
Yes.
My question is, nowadays youngsters are more fond of getting a job to earn money than working for money. So what are the tips that you can give to the youngsters to make money work for them instead? And please, if you have seen a business potentials in people around you, but they don't share the same idea with you, how can you motivate them or convince them to do business?
Good question. I have been asked this advice. I'm torn between this one. This company is offering me this one is offering me this one. Which job should I take? My answer is very quick and very simple. Always work in a job that offers you the biggest opportunity for growth. Never mind the money. Look, when I work in this company, because I'm being paid this one, and then some headhunter calls me again 2 years later, offering me, and then I jump again, and then I jump again. 15 years later, you're no longer young. Within the span of 15 years, there will be at least 2 generations of younger people entering the workplace. By that time, you have not developed any specialized skills. And then by that time, you're paid high, but your knowledge is shallow. You will be the first one to be removed from your job because you're top-heavy, you cost more for the business. Make sense? When you stick to one company and one job that offers you the biggest opportunity for growth, you grow first. Then you help that company grow. That's where you're going to get your fulfillment. And what's the second question you wanted to ask?
The second question is, if you have seen business potential in people around you,
yes,
but they don't share the same view.
I got it. If you want to enter into business and you have a partner, if that partner of yours does not agree with you in the vision, never enter into that business with your partner. The glue that cements a business is that no matter how many partners you have, all of you should have one shared vision, one shared goal. And when everybody has the same goal and the same vision, then that relationship will flourish. If not, it's an exercise in futility. It will not be sustainable.
Applause. So inspirational. Francis Kong, ladies and gentlemen.